Yeah, it's all downhill from here. What is up, everybody? My name is Advance, and this is Advanced Sports Talk. So, here we go. It's time to start heading downhill. Week 14, Bucks is off their bye. Alright, so we're going to jump right into this. Alright, let's start with the Tuesday night game last night. So, the Ravens bounced back in a big way. They got all of their starters back. The Baltimore Ravens had the Dallas Cowboys. Anybody that saw my playoff breakdown video, you pretty much saw that I made a face when I saw that, and I was just like, Jerry Jones don't care about black people. Really? Man, Ravens dug up in them because they was on a losing streak. Leading up to the Dallas game, they lost 3 in a row. So they lost to New England, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh in that order. But, however, I will say this. All of those losses came with 5 points or fewer. It was literally like 4 or 5 points. I think the Patriots and the Steelers, they lost by 5. In Tennessee, they lost by 4. As I said last week, even with the Steelers, you know, the fact that they kept them under 20 points, you know, was very impressive. But anyway, getting back to the game. So, the Ravens dug up in the Cowboys, 34-17. My man Lamar came back. He only threw for 107 yards, but he got 2 touchdowns, threw 1 interception. Gus Edwards had over 100 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson had 94 yards rushing. He almost crossed 100. Matter of fact, he got 669 yards rushing this year. That's crazy. He's got as much as a backup running back. But yeah, big win for the Ravens. Glad they came back. Definitely glad that they stomped Dallas in the process. But at the same time, I think Dallas knew they was going to get stomped. The New Orleans Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons. So Drew Brees was still out, so they had Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill threw for his first touchdown this year. Not once, but twice. So the 2 touchdowns that he got in the course of his career through the air, he scored in this game. You know why? Because Taysom Hill he's a running quarterback. So, you know, if he gets down on the goal line, he's either going to hand it off or he's going to run it in himself. You know, it kind of sucks because, you know, we kind of needed Atlanta to beat them. But at this point, as a Bucs fan, I think we can just like go ahead and concede the fact that the Saints are going to get that. We'll be comfortable in the wild card because, you know, it's still a chance that we could get a home game out of this. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this was surprisingly, this was a pretty back and forth game. Looks like the defense came up with key stops when they needed to. Michael Thomas got 100 yards receiving. Alvin Kamara got 88. Matt Ryan threw for 273. Yeah, Calvin Ridley got 100 yards receiving. So yeah, despite all of that, the Saints only beat the Falcons 21-16. And that's crazy because the Falcons defense is not good. Next, NFC North matchup. Detroit Lions versus Chicago Bears. Man, Stafford really aired it out in this one. Going for 402 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Lions ended up getting the victory over the Bears, 34-30. Adrian Peterson is still healthy. All right, AFC South matchup. Indianapolis Colts versus the Houston Texans. And it looks like the Texans' good fortune ran out. Well, I'm not going to say it ran out, but their streak definitely ended. So the Colts ended up getting the victory 26-20. Phillip Rivers threw for 285 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Deshaun Watson dropped 341 on him. Didn't throw any touchdowns but an interception. T.Y. Hilton had 110 yards receiving. T.Y. is back. I said it last year and I crossed my fingers. I was like, all right, yeah, he back now. He back. Next, Las Vegas Raiders versus the New York Jets. And man, this was a battle. The Jets was fighting hard as I don't know what to try to get that last to try to get their first victory of the year. But the Raiders came through with the go-ahead touchdown to Henry Ruggs and snatched the rug right out from under the Jets. Raiders won the game 31-28. So I was talking about Derek Carr having Darren Waller to lean on. My man Darren Waller had 200 yards receiving. Man, he really got some mileage out of his shoes this game. All right, Cleveland Browns versus the Tennessee Titans, and this was quite another battle. And I was eerie. I was like, oh man, because the Browns went up, and then the Tannehill Browns was up 38-7 at halftime. So the Titans scored 2 touchdowns first, and at the start of the second half. Then the Browns kicked the field goal, and then they scored 2 more touchdowns, and basically came down to getting an onside kick. But yeah, they ended up sealing the game. But yeah, so man, Ryan Tannehill though. I think next year Tannehill won't be a beast though. If Tennessee gets one more like stud receiver, they're gonna be a beast because Tannehill, or Tannehill as my man Pat calls him. Tannehill is one of those underrated quarterbacks. You don't really think of him off the top of your head when you think about elite caliber quarterbacks. But yeah, man, he's been doing his thing this year. So, and quietly, the Titans are 8-4. The Titans are leading the AFC South. So, yeah, they tied with the Colts. But yeah, like the Titans been doing their thing, man. But anyway, I was leery because I was like, this seems like the type of game that Cleveland would lose. They would dominate and they would let the team come back. Man, but I'll tell you this. They got to address that defense. The Browns need to address that defense or they're not going to make it past round 1 in the playoffs. I'm telling you. And I think the Browns will make it to the playoffs. All right, Cincinnati Bengals versus the Miami Dolphins. Tua's back. Dolphins got the victory 19-7. Tua threw for 296 yards and 1 touchdown. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Minnesota Vikings. So, as a Bucs fan, I had my fingers crossed on this one because Minnesota is in that top slot, or they're in the slot under us now. So, that was one of the teams that I was talking about on the last playoff video. That we was 2 games behind. They were 1 game behind. Actually, I think the Vikings actually took the Cardinals' place. So now the Cardinals is on the outside looking in. They got that top in the hunt spot. So now, they're looking to get up. So we gotta beat the Vikings this week, and that puts us 2 games ahead, and it might knock them out too. But I could care less about knocking them out. I just want to stay in. Mike Glennon throwing for 280 yards and 1 touchdown. But unfortunately, it's Mike Glennon, so he threw 2 interceptions. And he could have done something if he didn't get wrapped up in Shiano's politics, man. Dalvin Cook rushing for over 120 yards. That's going to happen. It's not going to happen against us. Justin Jefferson, as I hear Philadelphia fans weeping, 9 receptions for 120 yards. Vikings got the victory 27-24. The LA Rams versus the Arizona Cardinals. I'm actually surprised that this wasn't more of a battle. So Kyler Murray did throw for 3 touchdowns, but Jared Goff threw for 351 yards and 1 touchdown. So where'd the other touchdowns come from? Rushing. Akers, Henderson, Goff. So they had 3 touchdowns apiece, plus the one that he threw to Tyler Higbee. So Rams got the victory over the Cardinals 38-28. So that was the loss that knocked the Cardinals out of the playoff race. Oh no, they're still in it, but it knocked them out of the seventh seed. Next, New York Giants versus the Seattle Seahawks. This was very surprising. The Giants got the victory over the Seahawks, 17-12. Man, this is classic Russell Wilson. You know, first half of the season, he's in that talk he's in that conversation of MVP, and then slowly but surely it starts to trickle off throughout the year. My man Colt McCoy came back. He only threw for 105 yards and 1 touchdown, but hey, that's all he needed. Wayne Gallman rushed for 135 yards. Man, he's definitely taking advantage of that Saquon injury. Yeah, DK Metcalf did his thing, 80 yards receiving. But yeah, like, I'm surprised though. The Seahawks got all that talent. They can only score 12 points. That's surprising. But then again, I can't really be too surprised, because the same thing happened to us not too long ago, if not worse. Giants got the victory, 17-12. Next, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, this started off hopeful for Philadelphia. Green Bay just ran amok the rest of the game. They scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. They got 6 points in the third quarter. Philly tried to come back in the fourth, but it was too late. Green Bay got the victory, 30-16, and Carson Wentz has been benched, and Jalen Hurts has been named the starter going forward, or at least for this Sunday coming up. Sad to see that happen, but hey, maybe next year Wentz will play better, I guess. Devontae Adams, I don't need to tell you, he got 120 yards receiving. His name's Devontae. When your name is Devontae, you have no choice but to be a stud receiver. The New England Patriots versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And this was a sad day for my fantasy team, because I got 3 Chargers on my team. I got Herbert, Eckler, and Allen, and they did close to nothing. But yeah, the Patriots, man, I don't even think I can't even say that they stomped them. They obliterated the Chargers, 45-0. Cam only had 69 yards passing. The Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And yeah, so thus fulfilling the prophecy that normally happens, you know, after a team really like balls out on us, they tend to fall a little bit behind, and they do poorly. So the Chiefs got the victory, 22-16. Let's see, Travis Kelce got 136 yards receiving. Tyreek Hill, remember the guy from 2 weeks ago? He had the best first quarter in all of sports, across any sport. He only got 58 yards receiving. Melvin Gordon had 130 yards rushing. Chiefs picked up the victory, 22-16. I've been waiting to talk about this. The team formerly known as the Washington Redskins versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I had said in my last video that, you know, the Steelers might have been exposed. You know, they might have been exposed a little bit. This is pretty much what happens when you can't stop a pass rush. So the Pittsburgh Steelers' only defeat this year came to a team with no name. Washington football team picked up the victory, 23-17. Ben had 300 yards passing. Alex Smith had 296. Logan Thomas was balling out. Over 100 yards receiving. Buffalo Bills versus the San Francisco 49ers. Josh Allen throwing for 375 yards and 4 touchdowns. Nick Mullins doing his best to hold the team together. Threw for 316 yards and 3 touchdowns, but threw 2 interceptions. Cole Beasley, 130 yards receiving. Brandon Ayuk, 95 yards receiving. Yeah, man, Ayuk was injured a lot this year too, but I'm glad he came back to prominence. But sadly, for the 49ers, the Bills pulled out the victory 34-24. Alright, so that'll do it for this episode of Advanced Sports Talk. My name is Advance. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on everything. Advanced Sports Talk on Facebook. Advance 110 on Instagram. Come holla at me. Check out my merch. Cop a t-shirt. Let your boy know that you support him. Alright, my name is Advance. I'm out.